Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at Card Party. I got my cameraman Noel right there. He doesn't know I'm talking about him yet because I'm not close to him. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, as this guy walks right by me, doesn't even bat an eye. We are here at Card Party. We're investigating whether or not Pokemon is taking over the collectible space. Now, I'm used to do Pokemon. Now I'm in sports. I still do Pokemon behind the scenes, but I'm telling you, the vibe here is drastically different. Let's find out why. All right, so wanted to come over here and just kind of set the premise. So obviously we're investigating whether or not Pokemon is taking over that collectible space. So far, the vibe, like I mentioned, is fantastic. One big thing that's a takeaway here, and I think we're gonna find out in this video, most of these people are collecting first rather than buying, selling, and flipping. One thing that's rampant in the sports card hobby right now is everybody and their mother just cares about making a dollar. And no one's really collecting cheap cards. No one's collecting, you know, even the bigger cards. Everybody wants those massive parallels just to sell. I don't see anybody holding on to those guys and seeing what happens. There might be a lot of the vintage collectors out there, but right now from the modern standpoint in sports, I'm seeing rampant, and I mean rampant, just flipping and selling cards. Now look, I'm a capitalist. If you want to buy, sell, trip, flayed, whatever that may be, I'm all for making money, but there has to be a limit to something. And I think within the Pokemon community, you all are about to find out that they put collecting first, and that it's a very healthy balance between buy, selling, and trading, because people actually want to collect first rather than make that money. All right, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we are here today with my guy, Jin. You all know him already, but I want to ask Jin some questions about, you know, his collection, what he does, you know, what he's focusing on, because a lot of people don't know Jin's story. And it's not like it's going to be an origin story here by any means, but a lot has changed for us. We stopped opening up a lot of sports cards, right? And we're getting back to what we love doing and what we got into at first, and that was for collecting. Yep. So let's start off the bat. Are you done collecting sports cards or opening up sports card product?
No, I'm just being more selective about what I open and who I collect. So mostly I'll probably focus on like veterans and more established players rather than chasing like the rookies and stuff like that.
Okay. Now, those established players, are we talking about like Hall of Famers or players that are later on in their career that has established themselves in the sense of they've done a lot? You don't really want to worry about the rookies. You don't want to chance it.
So I'd probably look for more like Jordans, maybe like Lucas, certain LeBrons to add to the PC, and then like, you know, Tom Brady, of course. So cards like that is what I'm focusing on now, rather than more the up-and-coming rookies. For flipping purposes, if I decide to go back and flip sports, that might be where I would put a little bit more focusing on, because that's more liquid and quickly to move, but overall, mostly to the vets for now.
Okay. Now, it's funny you bring up flipping in sports, because my opening intro to this, I'm investigating whether or not the Pokemon hobby or Pokemon in general is taking over the collectible space. One thing I noticed with us being in sports cards for a lot of the years, it's all about buying and selling. It's not really about collecting anymore for the sports card thing. You don't really see people going after, you know, rookie cards that are base cards anymore. They want to have the parallels or more, which I understand because that's where the value is. With Pokemon that I see, like for yourself, your collection in the TCG side is a masterpiece. I'm going to share right here the Collectr profile. Make sure you guys download Collectr. But here's all of Jin's collections, and this is probably not everything's 100% here, but this is majority of it, right?
Yeah, I think probably there's some stuff that I've sold and moved through recently to get into other things, so it's probably not 100% accurate, but it's like 90% there.
But you're putting the TCG side of it collecting first, it feels like. You are collecting a lot more everything.
Because I feel like I have more goals that I've set, that I've kind of started and just kind of left hanging.
Okay.
So I want to finish those through, and then while I do that, I can look for some of the sports card pieces and things like that.
Okay, that's absolutely phenomenal. Why do you think people have stopped collecting the smaller sports cards? Because I see a lot of people here, they're down to chase master sets of Pokemon, the $3, $4, $5 cards, all the way up to the $200 cards. No one in sports is doing that anymore. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense because, like, the Pokemon, I mean, commons are always like the lower end of things. But if you want to master set something, you need to have all of the cheaper cards all the way to the most expensive cards. But in sports, I mean, most people just care about the key players and the key inserts, and not so much all of the other base cards and lower tier characters or players, as we would call them. But for that reason, I think a lot more people care about just like filling master sets than they do in the sports card side of things.
Okay. Do you feel that, like, for instance, for your items that you have right now, do you feel that you're just focused on long-term investment / collecting with your TCG pieces and so forth? Are there things that you're never going to get rid of? Are there things that you're holding on with the potential of increasing in value over time?
So a majority of what I'm collecting now and trimming my collection down to is for things that I plan to, like, hopefully keep for like forever as an investment piece, as a piece that has some connection to. And then there are some pieces that, like, I hate to make it sound like it's about the money, but they're just some pieces that I can't really let go unless someone really offered me like some crazy amount of money. And it's not just because I want like big bucks for the card, it's just that it's part of my collection that I don't want to get rid of. So it would really take a really big, reasonable amount to move me off of the piece, just because it's like a personal collection of mine, not so much for a monetary value.
Okay, understood. Is there anything you want to, any advice, anything you want to give, or anything you want to promote right now to people out there watching this?
I would say just collect what you love, start out there, and don't let, as we always say, don't let the money get in the way of things and cloud your vision of what you want to do. Always be a collector first, and then use flipping and stuff like that to help get to your goals, and not just be kind of like the whole purpose of it, because you won't enjoy it if all you're doing is just trying to flip cards, because you're always thinking about the pluses and minuses, and the pluses feel good and the minuses will feel bad. So just be a true collector at heart.
So I kind of want you to pan. I want you to pan over here to see where it says Bulk Alley. Come here, let's try to get a better shot of the sign. So this is something that you're not going to see in sports a lot. Is this Bulk Alley. Look at the Bulk Alley. In sports cards, no one in their mother will be at the, let me get bulk cards for a set. This just goes to show you how many people are collecting Pokemon. They're in here getting bulk cards for their master sets, and it's filled. There's piles of Pokemon cards where people are going through looking for their favorite Pokemon, looking for cards for missing sets, just to add to their master collection. In sports cards, you will never see that. You will never see grown children, whatever, looking for those cards. It's funny. There's a lot of people like, oh, I give bulk cards to kids all the time. I hear that. But when I see them at card show, when the kids get a bunch of cards, they say thank you, and I've seen them just get rid of it. Even the kids that collect sports cards, not all of them, but a lot of them are basically not interested whatsoever in the cheaper side of things. Over here, we got collectors on this Versus stage. One thing that I will say about sports cards, us as influencers, if you want to call it that, or content creators, whatever that may be, we need to do a better job with showing off our collections and making it about collecting first. I know a lot of people, they have certain thoughts about Ryan Johnson and Mojo sports cards, but those guys show off their collections. You know Mojo collects DeMarcus Cousins. You know Ryan Johnson collects Ohio State guys. You know me, I collect Arizona guys. There needs to be a lot more of the content creators in this space sharing their collections on the sports cards sides of things. It doesn't matter if it's a $5 card. It doesn't matter if it's a $200, $300, $400 card. It's all about collecting first, and I think that's something that we're missing out on the sports card side of things. I think a lot of people in there just show their sales. It's all it is about sales, 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 not about collecting. But this stuff is crazy. We're here with the CEO of Collectr. Obviously, I've talked about Collectr a tremendous amount of times, but I wanted to go ahead and get to the roots of the beginnings of Collectr, why you started Collectr, and kind of get your thoughts on the Pokemon hobby right now.
So I'm Adam, CEO, one of the 4 founders of Collectr, as Juice obviously knows.
4 founders.
We founded the company, now it's been 3.5 years. Original premise was, just like you said, we started collecting.
Yep.
So we started ripping packs 2018, I'd say.
Okay.
Started cataloging our product in an Excel spreadsheet.
Oof.
Which, as you know, every week we go to eBay, look up last sold, and update that. It was pretty brutal. We then got together, decided to build an app for ourselves. We started using it, and just for fun, we just launched it to the App Store.
Okay.
First 24 hours, 5,000 users.
Which is insane.
Which we knew we were potentially onto something.
Yep.
Fast forward 3 years, now we've got just over 4 million users.
I mean, we're rocking and rolling.
That's it.
It's a beautiful thing. So talk to me a little bit about your thoughts of the Pokemon hobby. And I know you're not really a sports guy, but you guys dabbied in it a little bit. It's funny. Well, you went to the National.
We did.
And you bought some sports cards, and on the ride home, you were asking me a bunch of questions.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of gave you a heads up, like, hey, if you're really going to collect these, you can collect them for sure. But there's not a lot of people creating master sets anymore in sports cards, but there are with
in Pokemon.
Yeah. So kind of talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on the Pokemon community and collecting right now.
Of course, I think they're completely different worlds. You know this too. The Pokemon world feels more of like more collector first.
Okay.
There's a lot of players, obviously.
Sure.
But people want to complete master sets. That's a big thing. Probably one of the most used features on the app is people completing their master set, because you kind of have an objective to go with, and more importantly, they're attainable.
Yes.
It's a lot easier to, newer sets, pull rates lower, harder, but it's more obtainable to be able to get your sets completed.
Yep.
Sports, you said we dabbled, went to the Nationals, bought a case. It was confusing.
Yep.
We kind of got rid of some cards that we didn't know what they were at the time just because of the foiling, but with Pokemon, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just Pokemon, it's all TCGs. They're just, the artwork is some nostalgic, some not, but like it's such more appealing to all ages for a lot of people, right?
I would agree.
As the hobby itself over the last 4 years, you've seen this too. Pokemon's like on an upward trajectory. All TCGs are.
Yes.
On an unbeatable path. The IP itself is worth more than, the top sports, like whatever, 5 franchises combined and stuff. So it's an upward trajectory, and you see this with like Card Party right now.
It's
like
massive. It's massive.
It's huge.
It's huge in there. One thing that you touched a point on is the parallels.
Yeah.
So like for Pokemon, you use a great word of obtainable. Even though it's hard to get loose product, you can, wherever you buy Pokemon product, it's going to be the same product across the board.
Yep, that's right.
With sports cards, you can only get hobby boxes from hobby shops.
And you got the first off the line.
And you got first off the line. You got different variations. So if you want to try to collect a rainbow, you're going to have to spend
a lot of money.
$10,000, $12,000 on an average player.
That's right.
And no one wants to collect base cards anymore in sports cards. They just want those big cards. And I have a feeling is they're just so focused on the value of the cards. There's always going to be the value tied to cards in general.
For sure.
But I think in the sports card market that I've seen over the past 3 years, 4 years, is everybody just cares about what they can get that card for right away.
Sure.
Almost every person I talk to that opens up product, wow, this is like a $10,000 card. I'm going to go ahead and flip it.
Yep.
I never hear anybody holding on to those players
for a long time. Yeah.
Now it's really difficult because if you do any like type of prospecting in sports, so like basically rookie cards and stuff like that, if they don't pan out and you spend a lot of money on those rookies, they could be paperweights. Of
course.
I think with Pokemon and what we see from the collector side of things, we see investments go up typically.
Yep. I think there's 2 things here that are important. One is on the obtainable side, the fact that a kid, adult, doesn't matter who you are, buys a box, has a chance at the same card as anybody else, that's huge. In sports, like you said, unless you buy some of those exclusive or expensive boxes, you are the only ones that have a chance at those expensive cards. It's pretty level playing field for Pokemon. That's number one. On the second side of things is that as people keep collecting these cards, they get attached to the type of Pokemon or type of cards they are.
Yep.
In sports, you need to be up to date with the players.
Yes.
If they get injured, to get out of any kind of thing can change the dynamic, which impacts the pricing.
100%.
At Charizard is a Charizard. It's been 26 years?
Yep. Charizard, we have a saying. Charizard's not going to tear an ACL.
There you go.
They're not going to commit any crimes.
That's right.
They're not going to say something they shouldn't say.
It's the same one. It's been the Charizard when I was a kid to the Charizard that you see all the kids here buying up. Same thing. So those 2 things in the TCG space is what makes it just continue. That's why that IP is so valuable. It's why, on average, we add 15 to 20,000 new users a day. And every single person, one of the first things to look at, obviously Pokemon being the biggest one, but it's always the top ones. It's been the same for 5 years. Charizard, Pikachu, Lugia. It's those specific characters that everybody understands, everybody knows, that keeps going after them.
Now, before I let you go, because I know you're a busy guy, if you can leave some advice for collectors out there, maybe in the sports side that want to get into Pokemon, or just Pokemon collectors out there, if you can leave one piece of advice that you learned over your years, what would it be? What comes to your head first?
Sealed product.
Sealed product?
So I started with raw cards, which I do. I have binders of raw cards.
Yeah.
A lot have exploded in value.
Okay.
Graded cards, I keep some of the ones I like, but sealed has been like dominant. Any sealed product, you just hold on long enough. Obviously, inventory dwindles. People rip the boxes. They just keep shortening. You know this. You know this book better than anybody with your Rocket boxes back in like what, 5-6 years ago?
Yeah. So Dude Luck and I used to get Team Rocket first edition boxes for like $2,000. Then they used to be at one point like $10,000. Then I sold mine for like 13 or 15 grand.
First set.
Yeah,
and right now 24,000.
Now they're at $24,000.
Best example of this, 2019 Team Up. Nobody really cared about it as much. They were $150 a booster box. You'd be lucky to get one now for $8,000 because inventory dwindles. People start getting nostalgic a few years back. Yeah, but takes it with a grain of salt because everybody collects different things. I prefer sealed though now.
Okay. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Adam, thank you so much for coming over and talking with us. Make sure you guys download the Collectr app. I'm going to have a link right here. And yeah, if you download it, I'm going to pick some users to get the free pro membership. I'll make sure it happens. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
Thanks again, buddy. All right, so this is what collecting is about. You said yesterday that this closed or sold for $20,000.
$20,000.
Holy smokes!
One of the best full art Pikachus. It's Festive Pikachu, the most desirable one, which is the 20th anniversary, 2016 Festive Pikachu.
How'd you get this one?
This one I actually bought a couple years ago, Art Academy. Only 100 copies of each card exists. So the winners actually received all 100 copies. I actually picked it up from Sports Card Plaza. I don't know if you know him.
I do.
Yeah, I bought it from him for a couple thousand, but now it's worth around like 7,000 to 8,000.
Wow.
But it's still, I think it's undervalued because there's only 100 copies.
And then one of my favorite cards of all time.
Shining Mewtwo, first edition.
He looks like Mega Man there, like a villain out of Mega Man or in the Mega Man universe.
Exactly. I absolutely love Shining. Mewtwo's my favorite.
Yeah.
As you can see, I don't know if you noticed this. Shining Reverse Hollow.
Christopher Rush, right?
Yeah, Christopher Rush. Only 42 exist.
Now, Christopher Rush, for you guys out there that don't know, Christopher Rush is a huge Magic artist. He created like designs for the Black Lotus. He made the Black Lotus. This is his first time ever making a Pokemon card. It was a one-time thing and a one-time set. So that card is just very unique, very desirable from a collection standpoint.
And might as well just show this off too. I was just talking to him about it. So Gold Star Rayquaza is actually a UK variant. The UK variant's characteristic is deeper saturation of the color and crisper picture. Just the print quality was a lot higher and it holds a little bit of premium.
What's your Instagram?
So my shop is Grade Level Collectibles, and it's Instagram's Grade Level Collectibles. YouTube channel, that type of stuff as well.
I'll pull up the little screenshots that you did. I'll add them here.
Sweet, appreciate it. But yeah, this is a creme de la creme of my collection, as well as the Master Scroll. I don't know if you guys know much about the Master Scroll.
A little bit.
There. Daisuke Club.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful card, Daisuke Club. You know, it was a competition that players had to get so many points. This was 8,600 points that they had to get to move up. Have you ever heard of the Prime Umbreon, Prime Espeon?
Yes.
Those sell for like 50,000, 60,000.
Insane.
This is actually a higher prize than those cards. You had to collect higher points for it, but it's because obviously the premium Umbreon and Espeon.
Everybody wants those evolutions now.
You know it. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming by.
Absolutely. Thanks for showing off your collection, man.
All right. I wanted to go ahead and talk about breaking bangers. Now, the mic issues that I was having with Andrew is affecting this interview, so I'm going to go ahead and link this interview below from a Google Drive link if you really want to listen to it. It is a little rough, but at least you can hear the conversation. But the gist of it is, hey, they do both sports and Pokemon cards. They sell more of the cheaper side of Pokemon cards for people coming in. People open up a lot of Pokemon cards. People are only really coming in their shop for high-end singles. They're not really chasing the low-end product of sports cards. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of this conversation. Kind of get an insight of a particular store and what they're doing. Again, if you want to see this, I'll go ahead and link it below.
We wanted to investigate whether or not Pokemon is taking over the collectible space, just Pokemon and how it's grown in general compared to the sports card market. This is my first time really doing a video like this, but we heard from a lot of good people today. Look, takeaway is this. I'm not saying that everybody in the sports card hobby is the same way. I'm not saying that everybody doesn't collect or that they're not collectors or anything of the sorts, because I've met plenty of the people. I'm just saying that majority of people in the sports card hobby, or just hobbies outside of Pokemon, for instance, I feel like they care more about the dollar and making a profit and moving a card rather than the collecting aspect. And I think the reason why we all fell in love with this hobby of collecting and trading cards in general to begin with is because of that collecting aspect. And I felt like that was a huge disconnect from, or has been a big disconnect from the sports card side of things. I don't think there's enough collectors out there. I think the responsibility falls on the creators a little bit. They need to focus more on that. I mentioned earlier in the video that Ryan Johnson and Mojo Sports, they actually show off their collections. You know exactly what they collect. I try to show off my collections. You guys know exactly what I collect. However, I will say that there's a lot of collectors out there, or so-called collectors that call themselves collectors, that are in this space that are 100% only showing off their cards that they're flipping and selling. I'm not saying that there's others out there, and I know there's probably some other big names that I missed that do collect. And again, this is not a shot at anybody. This is an open conversation, that, like an open discussion. I know there's going to be a lot of people that watch this YouTube video that don't make it all the way to here. They're going to leave comments below like, oh, you're wrong. And they don't come to here and understand that I'm talking about, you know, I am talking about the majority, but I'm not talking about everybody. And also, I think some responsibility falls on Panini. Panini, and it's easy to point the finger at Panini, but when you come out with $30,000 product with 2 cards, you automatically create this idea that it's all about the money at that point. You create this this system that we're all in, and where anytime there's a Panini product, we're looking at the value of the cards and what could possibly be, rather than the collecting aspect, which is absolutely insane to me. One thing that Pokemon does really well is you can get those products anywhere. You can pull the same exact rarity of card in a Walmart purchased item or a hobby shop purchased item. There is not that disconnect. You can go on Pokemon Center's website, you get the same exact product you can get anywhere else, pull the same exact cards. And Pokemon sets the MSRP. Pokemon does it as much as I get frustrated with Pokemon with the approach that they take to things. I think they do the best at anybody who makes a trading card, whether it be sports or TCG, of how they approach the business. They strive to make Pokemon affordable and stay affordable. Panini does not. Topps does not. Fanatics does not. Whoever you want to point at, they do not. And whether you believe it otherwise, it's literally proofs in the pudding of what they sell. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Deuces.